Hey Squishies, back again with another vlog. This is Gravity Falls Season 2. I know what season I'm on. Season 2, Episode 15, The Last Maplecorn. Which, first off, excellent title. Anything which references The Last Unicorn is aces in my book. It's a very good book. The Last Unicorn, I mean. And one of the all-time great animated movies. If you have not seen it, you really owe it to yourself to see it. Read the book. Read lots of Peter S. Bagel books. He's one of the best fantasy authors alive. Just period. His short stories in particular are brilliant. Nobody ever talks about his short stories. Okay. That out of the way. Other thing is, was this episode aired out of order or something? Like, I looked at the episode listing online and it is the episode 14 aired before this, and then this aired. This was the next thing that aired. So it's not like this, the site I'm using to watch them is out of order or something, which has occasionally happened before, though it's rare. The production codes don't make any sense, so I don't think it seems pretty clear that the airing order is the order that they should be watched in. As is true for most series. It's, occasionally you get something like Batman the Animated Series where production order makes more sense than airing order, but usually it's the other way around because most shows are made by multiple teams working at once and things get made out of order. And that's assuming the order matters. Get back into American shows a couple decades ago, and order usually doesn't matter much. But I don't get the end of this episode. The cliffhanger is Bill is going to make a pact with somebody outside of the Mystery Shack. But the cliffhanger of the previous episode was him making a pact was Gideon, summoning him to make a pact. So, it seems like the other way around would make more sense. Whatever. The main thing I want to talk about with this episode, which I think it handled really well, is this pure of heart BS. And I feel like it actually did both sides of it, though it was subtler about the other side. And what I mean by the other side is sin, because those are the two concepts that are kind of paired here. Mabel even had on her notepad, Mabel's sins. We didn't get to see what they were. But purity is a very toxic concept, and it inherits this toxicity from the concept of sin, which is equally toxic. Sin is a terrible fucking concept to try to build your morality around, because the concept of sin is, well, first of all, you've got the bullshit of original sin, which is, somehow it's in your genes or whatever, that, evil has passed down into you, you're just born with it, which is, how can you be born with something that is an act? It's not a thing, it's not a substance, it's not an energy field, it's a group of behaviors. You haven't done anything yet. It doesn't make any sense. It's like being invisible in purple. So there's that for starters. Then, just sin itself is a terrible concept, because the whole idea of sin is that doing bad stuff, doing evil, causes some kind of stain to mark you permanently. And that makes morality focused entirely on trying to get rid of that stain. So it becomes about ritual purification and nothing else. All that matters is what you did in the past and how it stains you now and how can you purify yourself. And you end up like Mabel, desperately trying to find a way to become pure. But that's not what morality is about. Morality is about doing the right thing. It's not about what you did yesterday, it's about what you do right now. You can do, if you did horrible stuff yesterday, well, you were a bad person yesterday. But doesn't mean you've got some kind of a stain on you. You can choose to do something different today. So that's a problem. And it leads to the purity problem. Which is that, this idea that you've ever done anything bad, you're impure. You've ever thought anything bad, you're impure. You're stained somehow. And you need to purify yourself, which very rarely has anything to do with actual good deeds. And when it does, it's an unwinnable game. This especially happens with women, because we've got this whole cultural obsession with virginity, which automatically, like if you're talking about unicorns, that's gonna come up, because that was the gag in the Middle Ages. Unicorns are mythical creatures. How do you catch them? You use another mythical creature as a bait, a virgin. Haha, that's the joke. It's this cultural obsession with this idea that, and it's a very gendered idea, or, it's at least become one. I mean, you go back far enough and you find legends where, like, the virginal man has special powers, just like the virginal woman. Like, there's something special about being a virginal man, like Galahad. But for quite a long time, it's been only really applied to women. And, there's this idea that women should be not who they are, that they have to be pure. They can't have, they can't express power. They can't have sexual desires. They can't act on sexual desires. And it's bullshit. It's stupid. Like, the whole concept of purity. And it's everywhere. Like, yes, it comes from Christianity. Like, that's where these ideas enter the culture. But it doesn't just stay there. Like, you've got the weird, creepy, like, ultra-conservative Christian, like, purity ball, weird-ass stuff. But you've got purity and sin as concepts causing damage everywhere. Like, 90% of what's wrong with Tumblr is people desperately trying to be pure and ferret out the impure. And, if a person shows signs of impurity, well, they are a sinner. It must be driven out. There's no room for growth, no room for change, no room for honest disagreement. And I'm not talking about, when bigots are being bigoted. Yeah, fuck those guys. Drive those guys out. I'm talking about when someone, like, genuinely doesn't understand, or is acting in good faith and, doesn't accord to the orthodoxy of the moment, or when there is no settled, like everyone agrees this is right, and you get these wars between, people disagreeing, and that, robust debate and discussion and disagreement are all fine. The problem is it becomes this thing, like call-outs most of the time. Like, there are cases where it's justified, where somebody has done something that others need to be warned about for safety reasons, and that's a totally legitimate use of call-outs. But other times you get call-outs that are, this person is, this person is a sinner. That's all there is to it, this person is not the purest of pure purity, which no one ever is, and it's not just those two areas. This concept of purity is where, it's where white supremacy comes from. This idea, well, not white supremacy, but white nationalism. That's what I'm talking about. Closely related, but not quite the same thing. Like, white nationalists are about, we have to make our country pure, and our bloodlines pure, and pure. It shows up everywhere. It's not a problem. I mean, it is a problem of one side in the culture wars, but it's a problem of both sides in the culture wars, which is not to say that both sides are equal. No, the left is right. I'm sorry. Social conservatism is evil. Period. But that concept of purity is in itself, conservative. And we keep getting sucked into it. It's a big factor in why, the natural formation of the left is a circular firing squad. When you combine that concept of purity with, so on the right, people value, being part of the in crowd very strongly. There's studies to show this, that there are differences in how people with different political views, there's differences in how they make moral judgments. People on the right tend to value group cohesion very highly. To them, disrupting, disloyalty, disrupting the group, those are bad things. And you might be willing to put up with bad behavior by an individual for the sake of group cohesion. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I think that's bullshit. But it does mean that certain kinds of bad behavior are tolerated from certain people on the right because it's necessary for group cohesion. On the left, we don't have that because, when we think about moral decision making, we think about morality instead of group cohesion. But if you combine that with the purity thing, what you end up with is constantly attacking each other. Circular firing squads. You're not, because this Marxist is, they've got their priority rankings and, class issues are number 1 and feminist issues are number 2 and race issues are number 3. And this, feminist has feminist issues at number 1 and race issues at number 2 and class issues at number 3. And so, how dare you not have class as your top priority? How dare you not have gender issues as your top priority, and the circular firing squad begins. And it's because, because we're not capable of, because we've got this purity obsession that's everywhere in the culture. Again, it's not just us, but this is one place where it comes up. We're not capable of saying, you know what? Let's be who we are. Let's work together knowing that sooner or later, when conservatism is finally defeated and we start building the utopia, we're going to disagree about exactly what utopia looks like, and we'll have conflict then. And I get that there's lots of other issues that come into it besides the purity thing. Literally every marginalized group of people has been thrown under the bus way too many times. It's kind of what being marginalized means. That means literally any time there is a question of what do we do first, no matter what you pick, people who have been thrown under the bus way too many times are getting thrown under the bus again. I don't know the solution to that problem. I recognize the problem exists. I have no clue how to fix it. I have yet to find anybody who knows how to fix it. I am extremely open to suggestions. But one thing that would help is to stop caring about being pure and stop caring about proving that you're pure. Brings us back to the episode, The people demanding that you be pure are assholes and scammers. They may not know that they're assholes and scammers. They may think that they're just, loyal soldiers of the cause trying to keep, maintain ideological purity. But they're not. And again, I'm not saying that anyone should be working with people who hate them. I'm not saying that, because of the areas of overlap between feminism and trans issues, that trans people have to work with TERFs. I'm saying the other way around. I'm saying TERFs have to stop being TERFs. I'm saying that the gatekeeping bullshit and the holier-than-thou bullshit and the purity bullshit needs to fucking stop. And, I'm well aware that I am a white Alice's head dude saying this. I know. I'm well aware that I do not have much experience in being marginalized, There's a very little bit that comes with being Jewish, but I've mostly lived in areas where it's barely an issue at all. There's a very little bit that comes with being a fat dude, but nowhere near as much as if I were to say a fat woman. It's not something that I have a ton of personal experience with, and I acknowledge that. And I know that I cannot know personally, intimately, how it feels, what the challenges are, what it's like to be someone who has been thrown under the bus way too many times. All I know is that everywhere I look, I see people who have been thrown under the bus way too many times, and fighting amongst, fighting each other, and fighting people who want to end the bus throwing and maybe, stop the buses. And all we do is fight each other while the world goes to shit. And I feel like a big part of that is this insistence on purity. And these gatekeepers who, like the unicorn in the episode, see, I'm tying it back, I'm coming back, like the unicorn in the episode, saying, no, you are a sinner, no, I can see into your heart no matter what you do. You will always be a sinner and never be pure. So, don't be. Purity's not a good thing. Purity's, frankly, boring. Be lots of things at once. That really, to me, is what the end goal is, is the ability to embrace all aspects of ourselves and be our best selves. I'm not saying, embrace the asshole side of yourself. But, at the same time I kind of am, because when when Wendy and Candy and Gretel? I think it's Gretel. When they decide to be bad, it's kind of awesome. I love the way the gnomes are simultaneously cute and awful. The gnome drug bust, the gnome crooked cop who gets a payoff. The judge just now, they dressed up like a judge. That was hilarious. I feel like I've been kind of rambling on. I don't really know if any of what I said made sense. I just know that I have strong feelings about this concept of purity that's everywhere in our culture and needs to go. And I feel like this episode was kind of making the same point in a comical, fantastical way. That's all I got. I'll see you all next time. Bye.